Mimi Rochelle got married really young. Her 2 kids were really little when she decided to leave her marriage. Mimi hadn't worked in a long time, and that prospect was pretty scary. But she wasn't feeling nurtured in her marriage, and it was clear that she and her ex were growing apart. In Mimi's words, "My ex-husband was in the military. He served our country, and I served him. A lot of spouses do that, and I had no issue doing that, but it was my turn to serve myself." Mimi goes on to elaborate the challenges of being a single mom, finding time for the kids, for herself, for work, balancing the roles that she used to share with someone else. Prioritizing is very, very hard, she says. Even with all of this risk, Mimi believes with her whole heart that leaving was the right move. She was overjoyed to be free and open to receiving whatever came her way. Mimi again. "What I've learned on this journey of courage is that I'm a powerful woman. I can do anything I set my mind to. I can stand strong on my own. I can walk in this world alone. I can raise kids. Every step I take is a step closer to me being a better version of myself, no matter what." I'd like to ask you to think of a time when you took your own brave risk. Perhaps it was when you and your family, or maybe just you, decided to move to Connecticut. Maybe it was a career change, the purchase of a home, entering or leaving a relationship or a marriage, a strategic goal set and met, or something totally unique to you. How did that brave risk turn out? Did it lead to a more authentic you? Did it give you the confidence to take on yet another challenge, another change that would bring your authentic self back into focus? We each have our own personal stories of how we became our true selves and of times when we've lost sight of the person we thought we were. Each year on these sacred days, especially during these most sacred 25 hours, we are called to do teshuvah, turning and returning, leaving behind the ways in which we've missed the mark and striving to do better in the year to come. But I'm thinking about teshuvah in a different way this year, and I invite you also to consider where you might benefit from a fundamental turn, a shift, a change in your life. You know, so many of us are carers, givers, people pleasers. Not every single person, and if that's not you, then probably someone you know, someone you love does fit that category, so keep listening for their sake. Carers find fulfillment in doing for others, right? So much so that it feels like we must, that they couldn't possibly make do without us. Our cooking, our cleaning, our doing the laundry, our paying the bills, our homework help. How much more so has that part of our identity been strengthened and highlighted and emphasized during these last 2.5 years of the pandemic, especially those first few months when we were just hunkered down at home without outside resources? If someone asked you, as I am this evening, who are you? Not whose adult son or daughter are you, not whose parent are you, not whose spouse or sibling or aunt or uncle or cousin are you, not whose teacher or whose doctor are you. Who are you? Could you answer that? While you ponder your response, I'll tell you about someone else who really stressed about that question. You may have heard of Rabbi Zusha of Hanopol, Poland. There he is. We were just talking about him the other day. One of the early Hasidic masters whose story became well known through Martin Buber's book, Hasidic Tales. On his deathbed, Reb Zusha began to cry uncontrollably, and his students and disciples tried hard to comfort him. They asked him, "Rabbi, why do you weep? You are almost as wise as Moses. You're almost as hospitable as Abraham, and surely heaven will judge you favorably." Just sort of love the way that the students talk to him, right? You're almost as wise as Moses. Zusha answered them, "It's true. When I get to heaven, I won't worry so much if God asks me, Zusha, why were you not more like Abraham? Or Zusha, why were you not more like Moshe? I know I'd be able to answer those questions. After all, I was not given the righteousness of Abraham or the faith of Moshe, but I tried to be both hospitable and thoughtful. But what will God say? What will I say when God asks me, Zusha, why were you not more like Zusha? Perhaps like you, Reb Zusha appears to have struggled with prioritizing himself with authenticity. He strove to emulate the praiseworthy qualities of our ancestors, but at the end of his life, the person he most wanted to be was simply himself. Reb Zusha's tale calls to mind the well-known teaching of Hillel the Elder, recorded in Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our sages. Im ein ani li, mi li. If I'm not for myself, who will be for me, right? Nobody here would disagree. Striving to be our true selves, true to ourselves, should be one of the purposes, if not the truest purpose of our lives. But it can be tricky, if not downright near impossible. We run into those aforementioned needs in our lives, and those necessarily take precedence, sometimes for many years, raising kids, caring for elderly parents or other relatives. I know so many of us are in the thick of some or in the thick of all of those stages, and those needs are real. There's a risk in losing our individual identity along with the time we otherwise would have had for ourselves or to share with a partner. But it's not just caring for others that can jeopardize our being true to ourselves. Many of us also care deeply about the opinions of others, and sometimes a decision we know we need to make will likely upset someone we know, someone we love. If you've been in that situation, I wonder how you've handled it. Have you made a change that would benefit you? Or have you perhaps stayed stuck in order to please someone else? Have you gone the route of compromise? Any of these outcomes involve sitting with discomfort, right? If you stay stuck, you bear all of the discomfort, possibly coupled with some frustration or disappointment in yourself, maybe resentment toward the person you're trying to please. If you do make a change and it does upset someone else, then you have to navigate that negative feelings coming your way and find a way to repair, to reset. Take that scenario up a notch and consider a situation wherein if you make a decision that benefits you, someone else actually gets hurt. The Talmud, in Tractate Bava Metzia, provides a classic example in the extreme. Two people are lost in the desert, and one has a jug of water. Do you know where this is going? You can figure it out. The situation becomes so dire that there isn't enough water to save both of them. If both of them drink from the jug, neither of them will survive. But if only one of them drinks, she will be able to reach a settled area and receive good care. So what should they do? I heard her share the water. The answer is, the rabbis disagree. That's the answer. A rabbi called Ben Petora taught that they should both drink from the jug. They should share the water. That was Steve, right? Did I hear you there? I heard your voice. Even if it means they'll both die, since it would be impossible to live after witnessing the death of the other. Rabbi Akiva, the famous Rabbi Akiva, felt differently. He taught that the person with the jug should drink all of the water, that somebody should live. Rabbi Akiva's opinion became accepted Jewish law, that we have a religious obligation in a situation like that to put our life first. Guess you could say that's the Talmud's version of put your oxygen mask on first. Right? It's not such foreign advice. I shared the Talmud's example this evening because it forces us to grapple with the negative outcomes of our own decisions. Some less extreme examples. These ones I created myself. Rachel and Dina work from home and they rely heavily on their daycare for their son Jake. After a long weekend at home, if you've been at home with a toddler for a long weekend, you know what I mean by a long weekend, Jake wakes up on Monday with a fever and a runny nose. His COVID test is negative, and yet they're still struggling with what to do. Should they keep him home, lose the day of work, struggle to stay sane, or just send him to school and just hope that he doesn't share those germs that they know he has? It's not a new dilemma. This has been around for ages, and particularly in the last couple of years, parents of school-age kids have had to figure this out every time there's a sneeze. Another scenario. Danny's not satisfied in his job, so he considers pursuing something different. He's excited about a new career opportunity, but it's going to pay significantly less. Danny has a spouse and 3 teenagers living at home, and college is looming large. His parents live independently for now, but he worries that they're going to need some support in the coming years. He doesn't know the right move here. Should he prioritize himself at the risk of not being able to afford tuition or to help his parents? On this sacred evening, when the book of life lies wide open, the scales of judgment are teetering in the balance, we are asked to turn inward and search for our moral compass. This is the tool that we need for authentic, fulfilling living in the coming year. If we cannot locate it, if we cannot or do not heed its guidance, how are we to be true to ourselves? And if we cannot show up as our true selves, how can we expect to be fully present for those in our lives? How can we even expect someone else to be fully present for us if we aren't for them? Our different communities and networks depend so foundationally on people, on us bringing our A game. Now you notice I'm not giving you any answers to the scenarios that I have laid out for you. None of us can truly know what we would do unless we'd been in that situation. And the truth is, we wouldn't all make the same decision. We couldn't, because each of us has our own needs to balance. For the past 11 months, I've been on my own journey to prioritize my health. It's involved changing some long-ingrained habits, relearning a sense of balance, and sometimes, every day, multiple times a day, making hard choices. To convince myself to stay that course, I've drawn on an idea called YBP, Your Big Picture, YBP. YBP is a combination of a super goal, whatever your super goal is, could be run a 5K, could be do a triathlon, could be make aliyah to Israel, learn a new language, pursue a new degree or a new career, however you define your super goal, paired with your ultimate why. The ultimate reason you're going after this. It's that combination of the super goal and your ultimate why that keeps up the motivation even when the going gets tough. Throughout our daily lives, we make hundreds of choices. Sometimes they're minor, what to eat for breakfast, what to wear that day, and sometimes the choices are monumental, a career move or another big risk to take. Yom Kippur offers us the opportunity to pause and to conceptualize OBP, our big pictures. Who do we want to be in this coming year? What changes do we need to commit to in order to get there? Who do we need to enlist help from in order to be successful? And even though I'm asking us to think about this evening, throughout the next 25 hours, working toward our true, authentic selves is not something we do in a day, and it's not just something that accompanies us through these 10 days of repentance. In each of our lives, there are areas where we have allowed ourselves to move away from our true, authentic selves. We got to bring ourselves back to ourselves. We need to do teshuvah. That's an ongoing process. We need to engage with it daily, sometimes many times a day, throughout an extended period, and perhaps, for some scenarios, throughout our entire lives. And it's our job as a sacred community to support each other as we pursue those individual goals. Remember what Mimi Rochelle said about her decision to leave her marriage? What I've learned on this journey of courage is that I am powerful. I can do anything I set my mind to. Every step I take is a step closer to me being a better version of myself, no matter what. May our teshuvah, our courageous turning back to ourselves, bring out our power, our strength, our true, authentic selves. I wish each and every one of us Gemar Chatima Tova, that we should be written and sealed immediately in this book of life so that we can make the most of this new, beautiful year ahead. Gemar Chatima Tova.